I want a divorce. I am now the CEO of the Thompson Group of Companies, the master of the Thompsons. My father can no longer control me. I am done with your selfishness. Evan Thompson, her husband, towered over her as he yelled. I thought I knew you. I thought you would change, but I was wrong to think that you deserved a chance. Evan, please. Chantelle's words broke in and out. This wasn't the first time her husband had brought up the divorce in the past few months, but now he had the divorce papers in his hand. Fear crept into Chantelle's heart, knowing how serious he was this time. She reasoned. I thought you were cheating on me. So I did every married woman would do and confront a mistress whom you have been housing in a luxury apartment. I was only helping her. Evan insisted. She isn't a mistress. Why are you so insecure? Nicole has no one. I brought her here to Rose Hills, and she is my responsibility. 2 years ago, Nicole quit her job in Lockwood to be with me. She has no one. Do you hear me? No one. You and father ensured she could not get a decent job. Evan shot back. With a frown, Shantelle said back, she could have gotten a decent job if she stayed away from Rose Hills. And with what? No money. In a new town without anyone she knows? Evan retorted. Then she could go back to Lockwood. Shantelle tried to reason, but he cut her off again. That's not the point, Shantelle. Haven't you realized it? I do not like to be dictated. Evan said. He pointed at her and described. You think you can control my life? Who do I want to be acquainted with? That's never going to happen, Shantelle. Never. I only permitted this marriage because of my father, because he threatened me with my inheritance, my birthright. Evan added. You realized how unfair that was for me? And what if I cheated? Why would it matter to you? You forced yourself into this marriage, conspired with my father to trap me in this situation. You knew that I had my eye on Nicole, but did that matter to you? No. You had to squeeze yourself into my life. Evan shot back, his voice strengthening. Force myself into his life? Shantelle silently asked. But we have known each other longer. Shantelle and Evan had been married for 2 years. Their parents were close friends and had always said that she and Evan were bound to get married. Evan was the gentle older brother she looked up to when they were young. He treated her kindly and even blushed at her claims of marrying him. She was 5 years younger than Evan, so her 13-year-old self did not hold back in expressing her love for him back then. Sadly, the time came when Evan had to leave Rose Hills City for his college and master's degree. Evan only visited Rose Hills during holidays since he was often busy, taking 2 majors in college and managing an offshore branch near Lockwood City. When Evan fully returned to Rose Hills, he was already 25 years old, ready to take on more responsibility in his father's company. He was mature, more brilliant, taller, better built, and absolutely good-looking. However, when he came back, he brought someone with him, a friend whom he introduced as a potential girlfriend, Nicole Lively. Shantelle never saw the signs. Whenever Evan visited Rose Hills, they chatted like old times. She was always very transparent about her attraction towards him. Yet he never shut her down. Imagine her surprise and dismay when he returned with a woman he was casually dating at that time. The oddest part was how Nicole Lively looked somewhat similar to her. Nicole had long blonde hair, amber-colored eyes, and the same nose. If not for Chantelle's blue orbs, more prominent jawlines, and tall figure, they were almost the same. It wasn't just Shantelle who was disappointed when Evan brought home a girl. His father, Eric Thompson, was so furious that he tried to push Nicole away. He paid her off to leave the city, but she never took the bait. After some time, Evan's father forced him to marry Shantelle. He would have been disowned if he had not. It was Eric's way of declaring that Nicole Lively had no place in their family. Yes, Shantelle was selfish. The thought of Evan being with another woman made her incredibly resentful. So when Evan's father insisted on their marriage, she willingly agreed. Shantelle was only 20 when she married Evan, still studying biochemistry at a local university that her father co-founded. But that did not stop her from being with the man she had loved. She thought this was her chance. Eventually, he would love her. She loved Evan so much and would do anything for him, to be with him, including working with Eric Thompson to keep Nicole Lively away. Eric and Shantelle tried everything. With her own family's influence, they banned Nicole from entering the city. For over a year, Nicole was out of the picture. However, Shantelle had to admit the woman had her ways. Nicole found her way back to Rose Hills with Evan's help. Now that I hold power and my father can no longer run the company, I can finally make this decision with no one to threaten me. Evan coldly said. I want you out of my life, Shantelle. But Evan, I love you, she admitted. Water welled in her eyes this time. I did everything for you to love me. Since I was young, you knew I have always loved you. She kneeled in front of Evan and wrapped her arms around his knees. She begged. Please don't leave me. I love you so much. But I don't love you. I never did. Evan forced his frame away from her. He then slammed the papers against the living room table. With how strongly he struck the table, Shantelle shuddered, feeling chills down her spine. For seconds, she remained silent, gawking at the document. This is it. It has come to this. Despite everything I had done to earn his love, Shantelle said to herself. Her breathing became labored as tears finally rolled down her face. Shantelle felt utterly defeated. Her mouth parted, yet no words left her lips. Before she could respond, Evan groaned, saying, You are unbelievable. What happened to the Shantelle I used to know? What does he mean? I am still the same Shantelle, except I tried to fight for what I thought was right for me, him, his love. She pondered deeply. Fuck. He clenched his jaws before saying, I'm leaving. I have better things to do than deal with you. Pointing to the divorce agreement, he said, I'll give you 1 week. 1 week to sign that document. He stood up and put on his coat. As he did, Shantelle asked, Where? She gulped. Where are you going? None of your business. He took a few steps forward and then purposely said, Maybe I'll stay at Nicole's apartment, anywhere but here. The next thing Shantelle heard was the loud banging of their double doors. Selfish? Yes, that was true. It was because she loved Evan so much. Insecure? How could she not be? Knowing that Nicole Lively was at arm's length, Chantelle's insecurity grew. Shantelle and Evan had a relatively tranquil marriage for more than a year. It wasn't fruitful or romantic. The dream marriage she wished for, but at least they were civil. Occasionally, they spent quality time as a married couple. Occasionally, they had made love. Shantelle could tell that Evan had tried. However, 6 months ago, she received an anonymous message, tipping her of Nicole Lively's return. She became paranoid. She kept prying, infuriating Evan with her constant interrogating and snooping. He started bringing up a divorce since. Eventually, whoever gave her clues sent her photos of Evan and Nicole together, having lunch or taking her to a luxury apartment building. That was when Shantelle pursued to know where Nicole lived. So when she found out that Evan was paying for the apartment, she stormed into the apartment building and gave Nicole a piece of her mind. Shantelle made sure everyone in the building knew that Nicole was a mistress. Naturally, Evan found out about it. That was how they wound up in their most noteworthy argument, within the living room of their villa. So yes, she was selfish and insecure. But that was all because of her love for Evan. What hurt Shantelle the most, however, were Evan's words. I don't love you. I never did. She thought if there was no ounce of affection for her, then why? Why would he touch her? She ridiculed herself, still sitting on the floor. She muttered, I guess I'm just the convenient partner. Of course, Shantelle. You already know this, she added. Evan had never told her he loved her. He never even said he liked her. She was just someone his father forced him to marry. Shantelle got up from the floor when she realized the maids were staring at her. They must have overheard. How shameful. How pathetic. She picked up the divorce papers and went to the master's bedroom. It was then that she read the terms of the contract. To set Evan free, she would get $10 million as alimony. Shantelle set the document aside and stood in front of a full-length mirror. Watching the stain on her face, the bags around her eyes and her skinny frame, she murmured, How pitiful. Before she became Mrs. Thompson, she was once the most sought-after young girl in college. She could not count the number of men who confessed their love for her. Yet she chose to be with a man who did not love her. How pathetic. She told herself, Shantelle, you are so pathetic. It's fair to say that love can turn one into someone foolish. Shantelle was only 22 years old. She graduated at the top of her class in biochemistry, finishing her degree in 7 semesters. She wasn't supposed to be someone who felt unloved and unwanted. She was meant to be greater. After finishing college, she was so hung up, knowing that Nicole was just around the corner, that she did not even think about herself or her career. She had always wanted to become a doctor, a surgeon, but that would mean leaving the city to pursue medicine, allowing Nicole to see her husband freely. Thus, she gave up on that idea. After studying herself in the mirror, Shantelle looked around the room. Her eyes landed on the portrait of her and Evan. It was a picture of them on their wedding day. She noted how she was so happy. Her eyes were gleaming in the photo, but as she glanced at Evan's face, her heart sank. In that photo, there was only hurt in Evan's expression. Guilt washed over her. Then after some time she laughed. The kind of laughter that was mixed with misery. Indeed, she was pathetic. She was at fault for marrying Evan against his will. If she had said no back then, he would have been free to choose, and she would not be in such a wretched state. Shantelle did not know for how long she reflected on her decisions in life, but before dozing off to sleep that night, she admitted, You are right, Evan. You are right. I am to blame for this. Mrs. Thompson, have dinner. You barely ate for 2 days. Mrs. Shaw, their house caretaker, walked in the door, forcing Shantelle to get up from the bed. Shantelle did not know how, but she managed with only water and bread for 2 days. That was how depressed she had become after Evan gave her the divorce papers. I brought your dinner instead, so you don't have to go out, Mrs. Shaw said. Mrs. Shaw urged Shantelle to eat. She did not leave, making sure Shantelle filled her stomach. After Shantelle finished half her plate, she smiled and said, Mrs. Shaw, thank you for taking care of me. Thank you for being my constant companion here at home. But the words were stuck in her throat, and she cried saying, I'm afraid I must leave. I'm afraid I have pushed myself too hard on Evan's life that he hates me. Sure, Mrs. Thompson. You are a good person. You just need to learn that love cannot be forced, Mrs. Shaw said. If you love something, set it free. If it comes back, it's yours. If it doesn't, then it never was. Shantelle smiled at Mrs. Shaw. She acknowledged, Thank you, Mrs. Shaw. I guess I know that already. I was really hoping he would love me one day. Mrs. Shaw nodded. She had been working with Evan's family for years. When Evan moved to his marital home, the Thompsons asked her to take care of the newlywed couple. She had known Shantelle since she was in high school. The Scotts were constant visitors to the Thompsons' home. Thus, Mrs. Shaw was aware of her kind nature, but Shantelle slowly changed since she married Evan. Mrs. Shaw tried to mind her own business, but this time, She could not help but give Shantelle her advice. If they were both unhappy with the marriage, why stay? Have you decided? Mrs. Shaw asked. Shantelle nodded and faintly replied, yes, I have. After Mrs. Shaw left, Shantelle first took out a paper and pen. Evan has been bringing up the divorce since 4 months ago, but it was only in the past 24 hours that Shantelle gave it enough thought. She sucked in a breath and wrote a letter to Evan. Frowny face. My dearest Evan, you first helped me with my math homework when I was 10. Your technique for mastering mathematics was excellent. I thought you were so brilliant. Remember when my parents were so busy because of a doctor's conference my father had to attend? Mom and Dad had to leave me in your house, and we made a mess of the kitchen, making pancakes. I enjoyed those happy times with you. When I was 12, our families went camping by the lake, and you saved me after falling into the water. That was the first time I felt I truly liked you. Even if I was just a kid, I was crazy about you. That I only told you about how I felt when I was 13 because I knew you were leaving for college. Evan, my love for you is not shallow. It goes deeper than you can imagine, but I was wrong about how I showed my love. You are right. I should not have agreed to the marriage and trapped you into such a commitment. That I've heard this line many times, but I have always denied it. Loving someone means setting them free. So here it is. I have already signed the divorce papers. That I hope you and Nicole will find happiness. I'm sorry to have come between the two of you. Forgive me for being selfish. Forgive my childish ways. Goodbye, Evan. Take care. Love, Shantelle.